All right, we're live. Make sure everything was squared away. I had to go out today, get up at 6:50 because the oldest pup is pacing. The minute she starts pacing, you've got like a minute. Doesn't matter what time of night it is. You got a minute to get up, let her out, or she's just going to pee on the floor because she's old, senile, and she does whatever the hell she wants to do, let's be honest. So I get up, go walk her out, and it sounds like a gas line or something going off in the house right over where the fireplace is. And we have a gas fireplace. Walk over and I'm listening and I'm like, there's something wrong. It sounds like that's gas, but I don't smell anything. There's nothing happening over here. So I open the back door and I hear the sound, but I'm like, what the fuck? And then I look and there's this massive puddle of water out there. And I walk over, open the gate, and it's flooded back behind the gate. And I have a drip system in the back, which I hate, for the irrigation. And they always have like a tube that'll stick up. It's supposed to be closed, and that's in case you need to force water in and flush it. And the idiots that put my drip irrigation system in did not properly install the end cap that's supposed to close it down. So what I'm looking at is just water shooting against my chimney, which is why it sounded like something happening in the fireplace. And so I had to real quick go on my phone, turn that off, and there's a proper way to do it, and then there's the stupid way to do it, which is use a zip tie to fold it down, use a zip tie. That zip tie just broke because of the heat. It's like 100 degrees in Texas. It's always got pressure on it. When the water's coming in, it creates more pressure. Where it's supposed to be, there's like a ring that looks like an 8 that's heavy duty plastic. You push it down, fold it over, slide it back up, and it clips it closed. That would have made sense, but the guys that did my irrigation system were idiots. It took them like a week, 2 weeks to get something simple done. And they couldn't figure this out. They couldn't figure that out. It's like, man, I got the biggest dumbasses in the world to do my irrigation system. It was awesome. So, yeah, that was my morning. So I'm getting started a little bit late. Then I wanted to come in and get the map set up. So we didn't do that live in stream because let's face it, I've shown that enough. You can always go back and look at the start of a new map or something like that where I go in and use my grid software to create the grid. I downscale it, set everything up so that we're starting at least below the 8,192 pixels on a big ass map. I think this one we're starting at like 7,500 is the total size of the map, so it'll be fine. I'm just going in right now making sure that my channel points are set because we're starting off with the pups in here, and we even set up never mind, vertical charging controllers. Just seeing this that Ash put in. You probably still need a charge and play pack for that thing to work, though. I would guess. All right, so we're all set. Let's go. Let's go to live. There's our map. Set this up this morning. Now I'm not happy with. There's something I'm really not happy with. You've got your normal grid, and then this grid shifts here. We are not going to create the shifted grid because you can't have two separate grids inside of a virtual tabletop map. That I am aware of. So we're going to do the grid the way it is, and that's just the way it is. Now, we are going to experiment, which once this map is done, I'm going to pull this into my virtual tabletop, And right here is where the players would go into... Oh, shit. Gotta get off that. The players would go into this part of the map, right? Yeah, probably right about here. So what I need to do is create a teleport point where when the characters move their tokens there, they'll teleport to this part of the map instead of what I've normally been doing with this kind of stuff is I'll throw the players across the map, and problem is it opens up everything that they get thrown across. So I'm going to use the teleportation module and see how well it works. If it works well, that will be awesome. And then we'll start integrating it into some of these other maps where you can actually get teleported to other places. All right. So I think what I decided we're going to do, I've got this wall picked. This is the Caverns of Ooze. I don't think I've used this wall before. It does look like, I don't know, some slime and ooze. And we're going to use a basic square pattern. We may end up just keeping that pattern there. Or I may come in and use the pattern shape tool. Let's see, is there anything? We've added some stuff today, and honestly, it looks like we've added more than we've added because some of this doubled down, I think. Because we have the floors there, then we have the floors there. If we have something, that's mud. What is this? Space. I don't know if any of the stuff we added adds an ooze texture here. That's lava, that's not going to do it. We're just going to take a look and see what it did add. Acid. We've used cave floor a lot. So we've gotten a few more textures this morning put in. But I'm not seeing anything ooze-worthy. Let's take a look at this. I mean, I guess this could kind of be ooze. But not really. We'll see what we decide to do. I mean, it looks cool. But it would definitely be something where there's ooze that we need to do. That would be different than doing this and then throwing a water pattern over top of it. We're going to try to expedite these maps, though, at this point. Just because... And we're going to try to power through this shit. Dad is getting tired of being in the Mad Mage dungeon. We need to move on to something else. Alright. So, pen is working. Make sure I'm not hitting the pups. Let's put this in so that we don't get echo. Somebody pulls the puppy cam. And we'll be good. So, like I said, we're going to finish the Mad Mage off probably over the next week and a half. We have 5 levels left. I mean, we average 2 streams. I mean, that's actually 10 days worth of streaming. We may take a mapping break off somewhere in there. So we go like about 12 days. But we're going to finish Mad Mage. Because, I don't know about you. I've had enough of Mad Mage. I have had enough. Alright. So we're going to use this. I think we still have the wall set. Let's make sure we do not. Actually, we might. Let's take a look. Yep, it's all still set. That was a dad moment right there. Alright, so let's just start here. Doesn't really matter. I think I want to move this stuff. I've added stuff to my desk. I was thinking about getting a gaming keypad. I forget which one. It was one of the razors, and my son's like, "Well, you still have that Nostromo that I used to use, don't you?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And so I put that on, and it actually works. I'm not going to put the driver software in, but you know it works. So I might start messing with using that when I'm playing Warcraft. Tell you what, everybody knows how much I hate mapping these cave type maps. It almost, if only we could, if only they made it easy so you could put some of these wall and floor assets in for the cave tool. But everything I looked at, I mean, at this time, it doesn't look like you can do that. I am a little nervous. Sometimes when you do these things, like when we start coming around here, sometimes it'll close in that gap. Now, if that happens, I want to see if it's going to happen. If that ends up happening, we're going to end up just doing this as one big area and then going in and walling in the zones. You know, these column sections. See, it's not doing it right. Let's see what it does as we go on. We'll see what it does. But I think the last map, I mean, we ended up doing large sections of this where what we did, because you could basically go in and do this entire outline, and then each one of these little void zones, just create the walls there, which we're going to have to do anyway, it looks like. It may well be worth just going in and doing the outline and then creating walls inside, because there are going to be some really goofy things going on here. Let's see what we end up working with. I think this zone we are going to just close in. And then create the walls later. I mean, if we do that, in the end, this whole map will go much quicker. But, I mean, I also like the voids to be voids. I'm just curious when this thing is going to start filling, where it doesn't need to fill. See, now look, that time it created the wall inside. So there is no rhyme or reason that I can see as to why this thing makes the decisions that it makes. And I'm betting that as we go along, some of these walls that it just created are going to go away as these things start closing in. Now we're going to come back in here and we'll move these points a little bit to see if we can get those jaggedy parts gone. But that's fine. Curious what this is. That may well be water. So I really am curious what that is. Let's read. So I need to pull this, let's pull that thing over there. I think this is the window. Yeah, it is. Caverns of Ooze. Come on. You kidding me? Yeah, all of my windows just like minimized. Just to piss that off. And let's get dungeondraft back. There it is. I love when that happens. All right, so let's try this again. Let's take a look at our description. All right. Mage captured a spacefaring pirate ship called the Scavenger, stole the magic device that propels it, and left the derelict vessel and its crew to rot in the Caverns of Ooze. The ship's mind flayer captain was forced to eat the brains of several shipmates to survive. The remainder of the crew fled into the caverns and have taken refuge in the ooze-filled caverns around the ship. Now the Illithid waits for new humanoid brains to deliver themselves into those waiting tentacles. Okay. The characters encounter 6 Garandau worshipping Duragar who were transformed by Hallis's magic into a single gray ooze with a challenge rating of 8 in these changes. The ooze that flows through much of this level smells foul but is harmless. So I'm guessing, all right, it looks like this here is probably the ooze that flows through the level. And it kind of goes through like, man, this is going to be messed up. I think we are going to lay a texture down instead of using the water brush. Because if we do the water brush looking at this map, just looking at this map, it really looks like if I were to start filling water in like this, it's going to flood. I mean, there's so many little variations coming up here, down there, and like this free roaming stuff here. That is going to just flood the map. So, yeah. We're going to have to do something creative with that. So we're just going to draw the map out. And then we'll figure out what we'll do for that. I think that's the only way we'll maintain our sanity. And then we're going to have to create a whole different zone here. And I don't know how we're going to do this ship, but we'll figure it out. Today we're going to worry about the outline of the map. Maybe get the outline of the ship in. And take it from there. Okay. we have an idea what we're working with now. So I think we're going to do some large areas. We are going to do some big, large areas. That ship's going to be interesting to build, too. And I think what we're going to have to do is maybe create a teleport point for them to be able to get into the ship, you know, up on the deck. So there are going to be a couple of those, a couple little tricky zones that we're going to have to work with this thing. All right, we're good. I want to be semi-accurate here. Like I said, we're not that worried about fidelity anymore. Let's come down here. So I feel like we're going to have to really get creative with that ship. You know, you kind of want them to be able to see it, but then again, they're not going to... They're not really going to see that. You know, like we're seeing it. I'd say maybe if there's a handout or picture that you can... We'll have to take a look at this module. Because it's possible somewhere down below there might actually be a picture of this ship. And you'd be able to show them what the outside looks like and still have walls there blocking off so that they can't just walk into the ship. So we're going to take a look at that. As soon as we get... this part done. See, right there, that little wall went away. So it's kind of working, but not necessarily. Yeah, I really want to get to where we've gotten Mage done. We can start maybe doing some other maps and creating some random encounter maps that can be used in some of these adventures, because, you know, you've got you know, like in Waterdeep, there are a lot of random encounter type maps that you need for like little combats that can happen throughout the city. And I think we're going to start trying to prep some of that kind of stuff. And we may even randomly come in and start messing with Horde of the Dragon Queen, because there weren't a lot of maps for sections of that, like the swamps, because you do have some swamp combat and different things like that that you're going to need maps for. That is not a lot of room for anybody to travel, is it? Now watch, we're worried about getting this done, and this wall went away. That kind of works. Well, I think we're going to make this wall really tight in here so that that'll create some walking space. So that's fine. Some of these it works for. Some it's just like, yeah, that's not a thing. That doesn't work. All right. So I'm hoping doing it this way will at least get some of these sections to retain walls. That would be awesome, but I think we're asking for too much. We're going to do it and hope that some of them stay, though. I probably should have gone with what I said, did the entire big outline, and then created the walls afterwards. If some of these start closing in, I think we're just going to jump on it that way. Because we're wasting a lot of time if that is not going to work. In worst case scenario, we can always put something inside. See, it's just messing with us. Some of these are working, some are not. And adding another zone could make some that are working just go away. You know, it's this thing is unpredictable at times. That's why I'm always nervous using the water brush or water tool, because you don't know which area you add is just going to create a flood on your entire map. You know, and place water where it doesn't belong. I mean, this is an awesome tool. And don't get me wrong, but there are just some things that drive me nuts. And there are even times when I'm like, you know what? I'm going to start going in. I'm going to use, what's the program that I've got? You know, one of the drawing programs, and start making the maps using that. And, you know, walls and doors be damned. Since you can always draw those kinds of things inside of your virtual tabletop. But that's, that's part of the reason to use a tool like this is so DM can just go in, load the map up, and everything, all the walls and doors except for secret doors, they're there. We're going to try to close these two sections together. And let's see what happens. If we end up with massive zones that are going to need walls, I'm not going to draw these walls twice. That worked. So it is, at the moment, saving me a little bit of time. Tell you what, I was going to... Yesterday we smoked that pork butt, and today I thought about it. Hey, how's it going, Tiny? Thought about it, not for like no more than a hot minute, and thought about I've got a 12-pound brisket out there, and I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to do the brisket today. Day right after I did the pork butt yesterday, and that pork butt was almost 8 pounds. And got up this morning. I had to mess with that drip system and repair that so it wasn't flooding the yard. And I was like, you know what? Fuck this noise. I will smoke that brisket tomorrow. Those Packer briskets, they're made so that they last for a while. I think it's going to be good through June 30th. I'm going to do it tomorrow, but see, look, that fucking wall that gave us the promise of staying there just went away. I am less than pleased now. Fuck this. We're going to do the outline, and then we're going to build the walls inside, because otherwise I am just going to be doing this bullshit. I'm going to try to keep this zone here intact. And I don't know why I'm even trying, because something as we draw this is going to fuck me. It's just the way it is. But yeah, my dreams of double barbecue day went down the toilet when I saw that I had to do some repairs out there. Yeah, I was so mad, especially when I realized instead of using the proper closure, the boneheads that we used to put in our irrigation system in the back, didn't seal it off properly. And I could call these idiots and be like, hey, you fucked up. Come out and fix this. But what I did was grabbed a couple of zip ties. That's what they used, which they shouldn't have used. Used a couple of zip ties, closed it off, and got on Amazon and ordered the proper closures. And they'll be here, I think, Friday. So I'll be able to properly seal that damn thing on Friday or Saturday morning. But, you pay all that money for somebody to do something, and they fuck it up. It's just like, dude, it's an irrigation line. It's not rocket science. Why would you do something, use a fucking zip tie to cut corners and save 10 cents? Because God knows most people aren't going to be like me where it's like, I'll just fucking fix it. They're going to call that guy and ream him a new fucking asshole, which he deserves. I mean, it was like watching the Three Stooges. It was the dude, he had a partner that came out. The partner had his son working for him out there, and they were just Larry, Curly, and Moe. Didn't know what the fuck they were doing. I've never seen... If you weren't paying for it, it wouldn't have been, It would have been extremely comical. And I honestly, I'm lucky at this point that I haven't had more issues with the system. All I know is, you know, people, if they're like, what about irrigation? We heard about this guy. No, don't fucking use that guy. Larry, Curly, and Moe just fuck things up. Yeah, it just pisses me off because if I was younger and didn't have all the back and hip and knee issues, I'd do that shit myself. I wouldn't even let somebody come out and do it. I'd make sure it was done right. But you got to roll the dice when you're hiring somebody. Even though, you know, you go through sites and you see all these fucking reviews of people, and it's at the point now that you have to try to find somebody based on them having the very least amount of bad reviews, and you have to look at the ratio, right? You got to look and be like, okay, what's the ratio here of good to bad reviews, and who has the best ratio? And if somebody only has a few reviews, it's like, well, I'm not going to hire that bozo because he hasn't done shit. Where's the line I'm trying to finish here? So yeah, we weren't gonna do it this way, but now we are. We're gonna just do the outline and then put the interior walls in, because every time we start going to a new section, it starts closing in the inside walls that we already have. So, you know, they go away and I'm gonna have to redraw them again. And I admit, at this point, we are trying to expedite making these maps instead of dragging it out. And I tell you what, to get on more positive things, that pork butt last night was flipping awesome. It's funny because, you know, I admit I really enjoy using an offset smoker. Mostly because you get to play with fire all day. Hey, Meep and Moon Radish, you get to play with fire all day. And what is more fun than, except, you know, when it's 105 degrees out, it's not fun at all. What is more fun than playing with fire? You know, you throw a new log on, you get that thing just fucking burning, you have fun making fire. Maybe it's a dad thing, I don't know. But I really enjoy messing with that offset smoker. But when it's hot like this, you know, I still want to make barbecue. I just don't want to be messing with fire when I think today our heat index is targeted at like 107 degrees. Yeah, I don't want to do that. And if I would have done that brisket today, I would have. I'm going to be honest. I would have done that on the Weber, set up a snake, and it's the equivalent just about of using a pellet smoker because you set that snake up and you set it and forget it. And that's what I would have done. Come on, close it in and let's create some walls, baby. So let's zoom out. See, some of the walls survived, some didn't, and I'm fine with that. And this is really kind of fucked right here. Let's close this in, and then we'll create a wall after. There we go. So some of this worked, and some of it, see, this is what was goofy. We had these all done, and then bam, they went away. So that's an indication. That's an area where it would be possible that we would have something like a water leak if we use that water brush on this map, because it's going to do the exact same thing. We're going to find or figure out what texture we want to use, because this dark area that indicates flow is all ooze, and we need something to indicate that ooze. So we have the outline of the cavern completed. We are going to go in and lay down the walls that we need to lay down. These zones that, see, this had the walls. That's why it's like a perfect outline, and they went away. So we're going to go in, create these interior void zones, the walls. Then we will probably lay down the texture for this ooze. Then I think we're going to do the ridge line as well as that. We'll see how far in by the time we get that stuff done. I mean, the stalactites and stalagmites, those are all just decorating things, so we'll do that when we get to that. But we want to do the actual layout and see what we can do with the ship here as well as here. And I think I might have some flooring that'll pass as metal plating, and we'll do that. So let's lay this wall down and take it from here. And I do think, before we start laying that wall down, I know we've got some jaggies in here. I think we're gonna correct those by getting rid of some of these points. So let's get rid of this point. Let's get rid of this point. Look at that. That wall came back over there. It was that point. That makes no sense. No sense whatsoever. Right here, the jag is because we've got what? We could do that. And then here, I think I want to delete this point and this point. Let's move this in. That'll create an almost 5-foot spot. Let's delete that. That. See, if we just move these points, it's going to take time for this to redraw. If we just move some of these, it could crash. We haven't had a good crash in this in a while. The spinning wheel and the not responding, that's never a bad thing. That's never a good thing. We're not going to touch it, though, because if we start doing too many inputs, it will crash. I believe it is going to crash. I would lay odds on the fact that it's going to crash. If it crashes, we're going to do a reset. Just do the outline real quick, and then we're going to do all the interior walls, because this is just not going to work. See, we're not responding now for what, like more than a minute? There, it just went gray screen, and it adjusted. I'm still tempted to restart it because this is not looking promising. All right. We're going to do that. And dungeon draft not responding. End task because, you know, it's fucked. And we'll reopen it. We're going to restart that map. Sometimes you got to trash it before it's going to work right. And there is nothing you can do about it. All right, so new. Let me look at the reference map real quick and save file, because that will have my dimensions. You know what? I don't need it. It was 57 by 75. That's why it's easy to remember. You know, they're transposed. It'll take a minute for all the assets to load. But hopefully everybody's having an awesome day. I think that we're making a good decision doing a restart. We're not that far in, so we're going to start this map over. It makes me nervous when it does what it was doing. You know, when you start trying to nudge some points, and we haven't had this issue in a while, but when you start nudging points and it gives you the not responding, you know you're like 1 or 2 nudges away from a crash. And I think I need to pull some of these assets out because I have newer versions in and it's loading both. So probably bumping up on memory that this thing will use. All right, first let's get snap off of here. Zoom out. I'm pretty sure this is right. Let's do this. It's always predictable. So you set the scale 2.56. That is the one absolutely predictable thing with this software that is really good. That scaling is predictable. Now that's not saying it's going to be as predictable if you do, even if you do the same thing I do, but you're going to have a scale that works for you every time. All right. So we're going to do this where we do the outline. We'll do that outline in little sections, and then we're going to draw the interior walls separately. Because what was happening is you've got every interior wall that we've drawn, and this has a lot. And as we move stuff, every wall has to move, where the interior walls won't be affected by those bumps from the outside. So let's do that. Yeah, screw it. Let's do it. All right, so building tool. It's going to make us select all this stuff over again. There's our floor. Which wall did we use? F. The F wall. I think what I'm going to do is not try to do one long run. I'll probably just wall this in quadrants or close to it. So let's do this. I like this idea. But yeah, before our catastrophic failure there, yeah, I was going to do a brisket today, and man, I saw that weather. I was going to get a much later start than I wanted to because of that broken irrigation line that I had to fix this morning. And you know what? I'm just like, I can do that tomorrow. Even though I was going to do the same thing, I wasn't going to use the snake today for the brisket because you always have that thing kissing the heat directly below the brisket on certain parts, and that will create some burn issues. And I mean on the point, and most people will use the point where it's fine if it's a little bit overcooked. They'll do what's called burn ends, and that's basically, you let those burn a little bit, and you'll chop it up into cubes, throw it into a pan, a full pan, put a bunch of sauce in there, and then throw it back into your smoker. And it makes a nice saucy pile of meat, which is good. But you don't want that thing going around and kissing the flat. So there's another thing that I use inside the Weber that is basically takes up maybe a third of the inside of that kettle. And, it's shaped like the outside with the line going across. And what I'll do is start about 8 to 10 coals, and I'll put them up in the corner here after they're white. And then I dump a whole chimney full of charcoal in across. And what will happen is it'll slowly light across. I mean, I was showing you over here where you couldn't see it. But it'll slowly, from where the hot point is, light across and burn for probably, they claim it'll burn for like 10 hours. That's a fucking lie. It probably burns about 5 hours. But and regardless of how open your vents are on that thing, I'm lucky to get 5-6 hours no matter what. So the fact that I've turned to where I do most of my barbecue hot and fast instead of low and slow, the 5 hours works perfect. And if we're being honest, let's say it takes 5 hours to get to the point where you wrap it and use the Texas crutch. At that point, I mean, I use foil, I don't use butcher paper. I could have my oven set at whatever temperature I want, bring it in wrapped in foil, because once it's wrapped, there's no more smoke ring that's going to be created on that piece of meat. So you really could finish it off inside and not have to worry about being outside after you hit that stall. And I'm sure there are people who be like, no, you can't do that. It's like, yeah, you can. There's no smoke getting inside of that foil if you've wrapped it properly. And besides, it's barbecue. There's no right or wrong way, regardless of what somebody thinks. Just like gaming. No right or wrong system to game on. It's how you do it and how you enjoy it. Oh, fuck me. So we're going to need to bring this up. And bring that up. Because this is actually the outside of the map right there. But see, it corrected itself very quickly. So we didn't have all that interior bullshit to worry about. And in the end, if we're really worried about the inside portions where we're going to place cave walls looking like solid walls on the inside instead of having the squares like the rest of the map, then we'll put something inside there to make it look different. It's not a big deal. Yeah, people around here are like flipping their shit because now ERCOT or whatever the hell it's called, the bullshit Texas board for power, since we're on our own grid like idiots and the grid is antiquated, it can't handle the load. I don't know what February of this past year we had that massive freeze and there were blackouts all over the place. We got lucky, but it's because we're on the hospital grid. They can't turn the fucking hospital grid off. But there were blackouts that were supposed to be rolling blackouts, and they didn't roll. Some people were out for like the whole time. I mean, it was a total fucking clusterfuck. And part of it is because idiots refused to, turn their heat down. So their heaters were running constantly, their furnaces, that kind of stuff. Just selfish stupidity. Where all you had to do is fuck with your thermostat, maybe turn it down and be a little cooler in the house than you normally like. But, if everybody does that, the grid doesn't fail, you don't have blackouts, and, everybody's still happy. But everybody's like, oh, I'm not going to turn mine down until, this place or the governor, they mess their thermostat. It's like, motherfucker, they're not going to do that. Nixie, how's it going? So I bumped my thermostat up. It's no big deal. It's a little warmer in the house than I'm used to, but you know what? It's not 100 degrees out or inside the house like it is outside. Selfish stupidity always bites humans in the ass. And like I said, I'm not worried about it. I'm on the fucking power grid with the hospital, so I'll never see a blackout. If they're doing a rolling and, if the whole system crashes, yeah, I'll be fucked. I am doing well. Had an early, silly morning. Talked about earlier where I had to go out and repair my irrigation in the backyard. It's called drip irrigation, where it's underground. It actually saves water, but you can water your grass, the roots basically, without watering up top where it'll just evaporate. You run it less, it uses a lot less water, but there's always going to be a crimp on the end that sticks up in case, because it is just basically a PVC pipe, flexible PVC underground with a bunch of holes in it, so those can get backed up, and shit, you need to be able to clean that out. And the people that put it in didn't crimp it properly, and I hear this noise just going outside, first because the water was actually hitting my chimney, and it made it almost sound like my gas fireplace had a gas leak, blowing gas. So I'm freaking out thinking that I'm going to have to evacuate everybody out of the house because gas leak, but I'm like, well, I'm not smelling any freaking gas. And I go outside and I just see this spray like a freaking fire hose shooting against my chimney. I had to turn off the system and repair that. And I didn't have exactly what I needed, but I needed to be able to crimp it down so that, next time it runs, that won't happen. So I repaired that this morning, ordered the correct parts that the installer should have used, and, didn't get to do my favorite thing in the world and set up my smoker and cook a brisket today because it started getting too late, and it is stupid hot here. Stupid hot. That should be the name of the state, not Texas, just stupid hot. Kind of miss living in the Northeast where you had winter, you had summer, and you also had spring and fall, which is a thing, you don't have here. It just goes from stupid hot to, kind of cool, with an occasional stupid season like we had in February where it went down to like negative 10 degrees and then a week later it was 70 out. I mean, this is just a silly state for weather. Wasn't a good start, but it wasn't a terrible start. I was kind of pissed off that when I looked and saw that it was not done properly, because that shouldn't have happened. I was just like, I can't freaking believe this. I should have. Like I was saying earlier, the guys that did the work on the house, the irrigation system, was like Larry, Curly, and Moe from the Three Stooges. Just total idiots. All right, now we'll start building the walls. And that won't affect the outside walls. I do want to just double check and make sure we didn't do anything stupid that I have to make adjustments for. The actual outline is correct. This isn't going to save us time. I mean, it kind of is, because I was trying to do the interior walls, and then I'd have to redraw them again because it just fills in randomly. So it'll kind of save us time, but it'll make it easier. So that was what? Wall G, I think? I just have to find it. Oh, it was F, that's right. Wall F. I mean, it can always be worse, you know what I mean? That was just a little bit of water wasted. So I wasn't not too worried about it. It was just an annoyance. Got to watch out. I don't want to click that button on this pen because it'll close it in. Then I have to erase it and do it again. All right. And I think we are going to fill this in. Because the map won't look completed if we don't. And we're going to come inside on these just a little. Because I want the walkway to be usable by the players. I mean, this is going to be a little problematic here, but they should be able to get through. But like here, these are really problematic squares. So I am going to come inside. We're going to color inside the lines and give them a place to walk. So now we have, they'll be partially embedded on some of these squares, but they should have a line to walk in. We're going to do the same thing here and come inside. And let's face it, when they draw these maps, they're not thinking about tokens, virtual tabletops, any of that kind of stuff. They're just making a map. And let's face it, the scale on the map that they make is not correct because every one of the squares that they have is a 10-foot square. The squares that you're seeing from our floor tile that we put down, they're 5x5 squares. So I mean, they're not even thinking about virtual tabletops or proper scale because these maps are so freaking huge. And I don't know how long we've been working on trying to complete these Mad Mage maps. I mean, we generally do them once a week, sometimes twice, as far as mapping. The next, next 10 to 12 days, most of my stream days are going to be finishing off these maps because I just want them done. I am literally sick and tired of working on these maps. I want to get to something else. Some random encounter maps or something other than working inside the Mad Mage. Working inside of Undermountain. Alright, so I think here we're going to come inside like this. And that'll give us a little more room. A little more room. Let's do this here because I want to see full squares. I mean, if they can come through single file there, that's fine. Let's go around here. And this is a pretty big cavernous area, so we can stick to the way it's drawn. But you got to work with your grid. So here, we'll let them single file down that way. So I think we're going to do this. We're going to come up like that, and then we're going to make it so we have a full square there, and then we'll turn. Through here, I think I'm going to cut it up here. So let's kind of make it jaggedy. And then I want to come outside there. There. Make some room here. Let's come up this way. See, now this will be walkable by the characters through here. So those walls will be fine. This is where we need to create some space here. So I think I'm going to make this relatively small. We can come down like that. And then here, we're going to come inside here. That'll give us a full square there. I'm going to come up this way. Give us a square there to walk through. And if you've run on a virtual tabletop, you'll know what I'm talking about, where characters will end up inside of a wall, or something weird will happen once in a while because there's not enough room for them to maneuver these little corridors that are in here. And knowing the characters are going to do and go where you may not necessarily want them to go, and you don't want to have to mess around with, all right, I'll pull you out of the wall. I end up going, all right, let's just make the map so they can walk. All right, so they'll have a straight path there, be able to get up that way, and they can come down here. Shouldn't be a problem. This is most of a square. That could be a little problematic, but we're going to leave it. These are nice big zones between there. We're going to have to create a little bit of a walkway here. Let's see. Full square, not. We need them to kind of be able to go like this. They could go there, but we're going to cut in here and there. And then we can funnel them down there. So let's kind of go there. They can do the diagonal here. We'll go outside that. We're going to go outside that. And the rest of this is fine. Let's look over here. Looks like all of that space is good. We've got a diagonal. Okay, so we're going to stick to the lines on the rest of this. And I know there are people that would probably be like, oh my God, it's not exactly like it is. And you have to build this, especially if you're building it to use inside a virtual tabletop, so that it can be navigated by your characters. So like right here, they're going to have to go diagonally. That's fine. And they will be able to navigate through that little hallway. This, we've got straight line down. We have enough room around that stuff, so we'll stick to the walls. It's just those tight squeezes that never fails. They'll be like, oh, we can't make it through there. Well, you could go around. We want to see what's in there. All right. So make it a little less tight. And if it is meant to be a tight squeeze, you can always say, well, if it's a little tight, you're moving at half speed through there. You know, as a DM, you can always use your words. Like you always tell your kid, use your words. All right. Let's look up here. Tessa's out there having a fit. I'm guessing the white rats across the alleyway are out. Got a neighbor that just lets his dogs run around, do what they want. They're little terrorists, little Bijan terrorists. And, you know, they'll come running over, the three of them, just start barking right on my fence, run across the alley, you know, which is stupid because cars go hauling ass down there. One of the little white rats is going to get run over one of these days. I won't be the one doing it, but it's going to get run over because he doesn't watch them. And last night my dogs were out there just fucking going off trying to dig. I've got a stone retaining wall, so they couldn't get out, but, you know, dogs are clawing at the fence, losing their shit. And I go out, and I bang on the fence on my side so his dogs move, and I yell at him, get your fucking dogs out of the alley. People, man. My dogs stay in my yard. That's what you have a fence for. That's what you have a yard for. You keep your dogs in your motherfucking yard. You don't let them run loose. That's a real pet peeve of mine. He used to just let him, he'd walk down the alley with his dogs off leash, and they go running, pissing, and shitting on everybody's yard, you know, because the guy's a jackass. And got out there one day, and I'm working on in my driveway, and he says something, and I said, you know what, you need to clean up after your fucking dogs. And he goes, I do. And I went over and I said, these are yours. How do you know? I said, because I've got video for the last 2 years of your dogs pissing and shitting on everybody's yard, including your wife carrying your dog over to piss and shit on their yard because you won't do it in your own backyard. Fucking clean up after yourself or I'm calling the county. You know, it kept him in check for like 2 years, and now he's back to being the same fucking stupid asshole. You know, I love animals. People, that's a whole nother thing half the time. I make an exception as far as not liking his dogs. And they can't help it that they have an owner who's a total asshole. I mean, they are not well behaved. I've seen them go running after people in the alley and shit. I think I'm going to have to turn that ceiling fan up in here. I've ran the thermostat up 3 degrees to conserve some energy. And it's actually noticeable in here. Alright, there's that wall. I did that so that we'd have some squares here, but I think we're going to make sure we have space by doing this. Big zone there. I'm going to do the small zones, and then we'll get the big zone in and decide what we're going to do to maintain traveling areas. See right here, these are both squares that they're going to get trapped in the wall, maybe even kicked inside the void. So, and the same thing here. So we're going to do this. We're going to come down here like that, like that. And I'm doing this just to make life easier for myself as a DM. And if you use this map, it'll be easier for you as well. I think I'm going to come up here, and we're going to cut in on that one over there a little bit. So we'll create this here, go down that way, come in here. That's what we're going to do. All right, so I think we need to come around here. We'll cut in a little bit there. Looks like this here is a gate, I'm guessing, because they'll do that once in a while on this, where you've got these arch gates sitting up on stone pillars, or built between the stone pillars. So I have a feeling we're going to have to do that. We're going to come in this way. That'll give us a whole square there. That'll go like this. And the rest of this we can stick to the lines. That is, as long as every tap we do works. And I'll admit, some of my older maps, I didn't really worry about this. The walking space. And you kind of pay the price for it when your players get stuck. So now we're just going to make sure they can walk. Because players are going to do what players are going to do. Some really big voids in there, aren't there? No void there. Looks like another arch gate. Let's do this one next. Plenty of room between, so we don't need to do anything special. And after I do this void, keep saying I'm going to do it. I'm going to get up and turn that fan up over my head. Let me take care of that real quick. I think it's this one. That's better. I guess you'll have to say if you can hear the whooshing of the fan. Definitely better. Got some airflow. Oh, Christ. Stuff coming off the fan. I just vacuumed that thing off this weekend. You would think a fan that stays moving all the time wouldn't collect dust. Well, that's a lie. On the backside of that airfoil, it'll collect it. All right, there's that. Let's do this little zone. Let's see. I think we're going to come inside just a little bit here, because that's a partial. We're going to make this one a whole square. I think I'm going to go out maybe tomorrow, maybe Friday. So I've got to pick up some steaks or something for Sunday since it's Father's Day. Everybody's like, what do you want to do? I'm like, I don't know, I'll grill something. I said, the only thing I won't do if you want sides, somebody else is going to have to make them. I'll play with fire. Because, you know, that's a dad day kind of thing, playing with fire. Makes me happy. But I'm not cooking any sides. So they'll have to work out what they're going to do for that. I think I said yesterday, I'm leaning towards some tomahawks. If you don't know what that is, it's like a massive ribeye where the piece of the steak part is kind of like that. Yeah, it's freaking huge, and then it has a big bone sticking off, so it looks like a tomahawk. It's just an oversized cut of meat, but you don't just eat it. You'll slice it thin, and it's good. It's good if you like beef, which obviously all the beef and stuff I cook, I do like beef. Let's zoom out and see if we missed any walls. Definitely going quicker doing it this way. I mean, it'll slow us down a little bit when we start filling in those zones. But we're going to do a save as. we're going to save it. We're just going to save this file over the other one. I don't even want that old, nasty file anywhere to be seen. So there, that's saved over that one. And we're looking pretty good. So now, how do we want to do this? I think the first thing we'll do is maybe lay this ooze down. Let's see if we can find something that looks like ooze. Maybe in pattern shape. Let's see. See, I think that's supposed to be like a lava square. I'm going to say none of that is going to work. Pattern shape tool. That's our roof tool. The material brush. Problem with this, even if they had something that looked like an ooze, it's just not going to cut it. So let's look at a description. Let's look at area 15. Where's the first ooze we run into? You know what, I'm just going to look at 15 because there's a delineator there between floor and that. There it is. Rising out of 2-foot pool of deep ooze. Doesn't describe the ooze. Ooze den. Layer of a huge gray ooze, which lurks in the northernmost alcove of the right entrance. So that's room 14. Where's room 14? So that's just a freaking creature. Trying to find some more description areas where the ooze happens to be. Let's look at area 10. I mean, if we can see something that gives us an idea with color, that would be nice. Normally sluggish river of ooze flows a bit faster as it approaches. Any creature in the ooze that enters its turn in the culvert must succeed on a strength save or drown. Oh, so they fail their strength check. They're just dead. That's funny. Let's see. What other zones have some ooze we can try to figure out? So they're just not being descriptive. $15-foot freshwater pool. That's 1C. Where's area 1? This is actual water. Wow. We can put water down. That works. Room 2 doesn't have ooze. Room 3. Here we go. The river of ooze flows north through this 15. When the characters first arrive, the ooze rises and takes the form of a conga line of modrons, stretching as far as the characters can see. The modrons march against the sluggish flow, make little progress. After 1 minute, they sink back into the ooze. The ooze modrons aren't creatures or spell effects and can't be harmed or dispelled. Man, they just don't give me a description. Where's 1B? So this has like some curtains of water in it. We need to figure out how we're going to place that. All right. In order for weeps a steady stream of ooze channel from swamp of oblivion. Ooze is thick, viscous brown effluvium with streaks of orange, green, yellow, and black. Yeah. I don't think we have anything that's going to be like that. So we're just going to get creative. I'm tempted. Where is that? I had something in here. Thought I saw it earlier. I saw something in here earlier. Did I not, when I remade this, bring those assets in? It's possible. I think they're from that. Let's see if that brings in what I need. So we've saved it. Now we need to reopen it. It's always part of the roundabout of making a map in this. I'm hoping it's sitting in one of these tile packs. Curious. That's a lot of stuff being brought in. A lot. Hey, Tiny. I turned the overhead fan up. So you're going to have to tell me if I turned that. There it is. I was like, wait a minute, I fixed that this morning. I fixed that. Right on the Lokester. It's hot out today. And we're having, because Texas sucks. Um, we're getting these warnings again about the power grid. Remember in February where there were blackouts? We got lucky here because we're on the grid with the hospital, so they couldn't roll the blackouts to us. But they're talking about rolling blackouts if people don't turn the thermostat up 3 degrees. And all these people are just losing their shit. I can't turn my thermostat up 3 degrees. It'll be too hot. And most of these motherfuckers are running at like 68 or something, which you can't. If it's 100 degrees out, you can't cool your house to 68 degrees. It's not how air conditioning works. It's usually 20 to 25 degrees lower than what ambient temperature is that most of these air conditioners will take your temperature down to inside. Now mine, I was keeping it 73. I moved it up to 76. And, with the computer and all the stuff in here, it gets a little bit warmer. But, all these selfish pricks who are like, I can't turn my thermostat up. Yes, you can. Or else you're going to be sitting there complaining it's 105 degrees outside and you can't stand it. Wouldn't you rather be sitting in a house at like 76, 78 degrees, something like that, than 105 degrees? But these stupid two-legged animals just don't think of anything but themselves until, and then it's all about them when shit hits the fan, literally. Man, this is loading a lot of shit. But yeah, every time I see that with people just like, I'm not going to turn my thermostat up. It's like, you're still going to be, even if you turn it up to 80, it's better than being outside where it's 105 degrees. Don't be a fucking jackass. Because if you keep it low, your AC just never turns off. One, because it can't hit that temperature. And two, because it's just going to keep running. They don't think. I, it's one of those things where I'm like, I need to get off next door again because I'm starting to hate my neighbors even more than I hated them when I got off the last time. In a state like Texas, after all that shit, it's hilarious because the governor and all, they're like, oh, we're gonna fix this. We'll make sure the grid's taken care of. They did nothing to fix the power grid after the outages. Um, I mean, people fucking died because of that shit, and they did nothing. No bills, no nothing to take care of the fact that our power grid's outdated. We're not hooked into the eastern or western grid. We're our own grid, and it's a piece of shit. And what did they do? The motherfuckers did a bill that gave subsidies to natural gas companies and did something like that. And then they went after transgender kids. They went after women's reproductive rights. They made sure any moron can carry a gun without getting a permit or knowing how to shoot. They did all the true Republican things that they worry about, and they could care less that we're going to have power out now. So it is what it is. Oh my god, I can't believe this shit is still loading. This is going to be a while. Hopefully this doesn't end up crashing me. If it does, I'll have to go back to whatever the most recent backup was, and it won't have all these in there. I mean, this stuff's loading fast as shit. But it's a lot of stuff. Looks like we're going to have some new windows and stuff to bring in. And maybe some doors. I mean, I'm watching this and it's all windows. Mine carts now. A lean-to. I saw that for half a second. Looks like I'm camping shit. You know, Microsoft. These are some new assets I brought in today. Oh, look, we're in the terrains now. Are we still loading? I'm worried. Holy shit. Would that take like 5 minutes to load that crap? And watch there not be a single pattern that we want. It did add some stuff. Dude, what happened to that one? There's like an acid tile, and that's not showing up. I think we could get away with that. Is it possible I didn't bring the one freaking thing in that would have what I'm looking for? Effects and overlays. I bet that's it. Oh god, this could be bad too. This is going to be bad. All right, let's try this. Whew, we're nervous. Wow. Okay. Didn't drop anything that we wanted. I'm just like, where the hell did that one asset that I'm looking for go? They're killing me. It's possible that has some tiles in it. I know that has some tiles. I don't think it's what I'm looking for. We're going to bring the airship stuff in because we might need that. And the galleon. Let's see what this does. See, I feel like there is no way... Well, I know there's no way to make the water tool make the ooze look the way we want. Try it again. And we found that acid tile once, and I can't find it again. I have too fucking many assets. Yeah, it's not going to work. So I think we're going to look for a ground texture to put where this shit is. Then we're going to flush it with some water and hope it doesn't flood the map. So let's see. Brown effluvium with streaks of orange, red, yellow. So, all right. Let's start with the easy button down here. So we're going to use the cave texture here, and we're going to put the water on top of that. Where do we have that? We just had that a minute ago. Is that it? Nope. That's it. All right, so we have to remember this needs to be below water because we're going to flood it. Now the other issue we're going to have if we decide to come back and try to do the water texture elsewhere, if we change color, it's going to screw with this. That's why I'm trying to find a tile. There's one that I saw. And I don't remember what I loaded in to make it work. Oops. All right, so we'll put some water on top of that. Hey, fledgling gamer, how's it going? Now, you know what? We're going to push that in after the fact. No, you know what? The water brush doesn't let us edit, does it? Well, I don't care. All right. Let's take a look and see how that looks. So let's push this out so the water looks right. Nice thing with the water, it does lay down a nice dark line that you can work with. Your skeleton short? Where is this? There we go. Let's do that. I think that's got it. Let's make sure. Nope, got a few little bumps we need to do. And that's our pool of water. Let's take a look. See, it's that line that just keeps bothering me right there. Nothing I can do about it. All right, so that takes care of that. What are we going to do for this freaking ooze? Violet, how's it going? Resurrected as skeletons. But are you going to make them vulnerable to crushing damage? Alright, so we need ooze here. And I am freaking out because that one pattern that I saw is not showing up. Where the hairy freaking hell is it? It's possible. I know Winter Wilderness won't have the acid tile I'm looking for. And I don't really want to bring those in. It's got to be in one of those. I think the last time I brought in all of those. So everybody that attacks them, attack them with a mace. This will be funny. Why am I taking 1.5 times damage? Because you do. Die, lowly skeleton creatures. An ear infection. That sucks. We took the 2 older birds, I guess almost a month ago, the ones that we got from my mom, to the vet. The one because, you know, it smelled like something had died and crawled up his ass every time he went to the bathroom in here. And so he had a bunch of bacteria in his gut. We had to take care of that. But, oh my God, for the 2 birds, it was like $420 for each bird because we had to go to an avian vet. That was fucking awful. You know, you go to the vet, you kind of expect a nasty bill, but you don't expect an almost $900 bill for 2 birds, you know, for just a checkup and some blood drawn. And a poop smear, I guess. And you know I hated doing that. You know how much I dislike Duke, the one bird, because he tortured Jelly. And every time I walk out in the morning, I still get to hear, "You're a whore." Yeah, I mean, that's like the most pleasant bird ever. "You're a whore." In my mom's voice. Just wrong. It's just wrong. I've been having an aneurysm looking for this one freaking asset that I found before that I was like, yeah, that's perfect. I'm going to use it. And then we had issues with that first map. Watch it be once I load that when it comes in because, you know, fuck me. There's no way it's going to be in that. I think Duke could be a jerk butt on his own, just because he's a gray, and they are. You know what I mean? I mean, they just have that evil look about him in the first place, and he definitely lives up to his appearance. I mean, he's still out there. You can hear him whistling. He would do that over and over because that terrified Jelly. And he hasn't. He's so stupid. He hasn't figured out. There's nobody here that it bothers. And I hired Tessa to be his assassin, and she won't eat him. Ah, ha, ha, look, there it fucking is. I mean, this isn't perfect. Let's be honest. Um, but this is going to be as close to an ooze pattern as we're going to have. Let's see what this is going to look like. Let's do a small section. And I'm pretty sure, regardless of whether I like it or not, this is going to be our ooze. I mean, I know it's not the fucking brown color that they describe it as, but I need something that's a differentiator that can pass as ooze. And this is going to be it. Noctuamic, thank you for the follow. It's greatly appreciated. Hope you are having an awesome day. All right, so this is what we're going to do. We're going to pull it here, and that. I said we're doing a small section. I'm actually doing bigger than I told myself I was going to do. But this is what we're going to do. I mean, let's face it. That looks like an ooze. Let's pull this off. Let's take a look. I mean, it's streaky. I know it kind of looks acidy, but an ooze could bubble a bit. I think we're going to go with it. I think that is our ooze. Needs more bubbles. I can't do anything about that. I didn't make the damn pattern. But I think that's going to be it. We're gonna go with that. And somebody's going to pick at nits about it, but you know me. I'm going to be like, tough shit. Make your own goddamn ooze. Nobody's forcing you to use the map, damn it. That's one thing my son is smart enough not to do. He'll end up using these maps before I do, because he's farther ahead on this one with his group. He would never come back and say, oh, could you have done this with the map? Because you know what my response would be? Draw your own fucking map. I bought you the software. And down the road, I'll be using this map with my group, probably 97 years from now, because that's how fast they run an adventure. I think we're on level, are we 6 or 7? I think we just got to level 7 after almost 2 years. And there are 23 levels to this thing. I'm going to do this. It's not going to be good, but I'm going to do that. And you know what? I don't care how long it takes my group to play. If they're having fun, they're having fun. That's all you can ask for. It does. But, the goo in Ghostbusters was kind of an ooze. So, the issue that I've got with this is it doesn't match. I mean, it's supposed to be like a brown ooze with black and all these different color streaks. There's nothing that's going to match that. And even if I tried to mix terrains across layers, and then the only way to really merge them together would be to put a water layer on. Well, I've already got a water layer that has to be used in here as water. A lot of times when we find areas on these maps and it says there's slime there, I will lay the floor down below water level, and then I'll go ahead and use something for like a couple of slime greens and put that on top of the terrain layer that I'll lay, and it looks good. Now the issue is the fact that I have water on here. Any changes to the color that I make are going to affect all of the water on the map. So I can't have both water and ooze water on the same map. So I can't do what I would normally do when I'm creating this thing. Now the next thing we're going to have a problem with is the ship that's in here. And before we start doing the ship, I do want to take a look and see if inside the adventure there's a handout that shows them what they're looking at. If there is, I can show them the handout and then create walls the way I want to do it, because you don't want them to just be able to walk across it like they can the cavern floor. They've got to be able to climb up. And for that, I'm going to use, there's a module for Foundry that basically does a teleport. And that teleport will move them from the spot that you want them to enter. And their character will basically teleport onto the other spot. And without flying across the map and seeing everything between. And when we finish this map, we're going to experiment and make sure that works properly. And as long as it does, we're golden. But this whole thing here is a ship, and I've got to create the walls somehow. So let's take a look. Is there a ship handout? Oh, come on, show me a ship handout. There's all kinds of rhymes. There is no ship handout. You bastards. I go into detail about the Mind Flayer pirate. I'm looking to see if they have anything that would be a handout for this ship. Ship is going to be trouble. Well, fortunately, I put that ooze below, so I'll be able to put it on any of the multiple levels that are above the water level. You know, we've got like 4 layers to play with, so we're fine. But I really like to have a handout that I can flash to show the players. Oh my god, this is so cheesy, so I gotta show this. And you tell me what this reminds you of. Hold on. So you see this picture up here? What movie does that remind you of? That's a definite steal from Pirates of the Caribbean. But they made it look like a fucking squid. It looks just like the dude in in the movie. It's like, seriously? Fucking seriously? Let's see what the player version gives us. And see, the thing is, this thing's sitting above the floor, so they wouldn't even be able to see that from down there. So I need to block this off like walls and block their line of sight. Yep, Davy Jones. That is so obvious. You know what I mean? So we get down to 15 here. Or is it 13? The scavenger, so I mean there's not even a clickable link to get us. Yeah, the ship insides are down below. That won't be a big deal. We're going to use the teleport module inside our thing and it'll flip them right over to that. I figured out how we're going to work around that. But you know, this is what I'm looking at. Let's take a look. See, even under denizens, there's nothing back here in the index to give us a good picture of it. You'd figure maybe with Davy Jones. They'd give us something, but they don't. But yeah, that's pretty cheesy. They did him just so he looks like Davy Jones in space. Because he's a space pirate. That's the difference. Like, oh my god. Is it laziness? Is it paying tribute to the movie? I have no idea. I err on the side of laziness when it comes to wizards. I mean, let's be honest. All right, what just happened here? There we go. Disney fans hooked on D&D. I think they already have that. But let's be honest, everything is not better with pirates. We had probably the worst DM ever who wanted to run a campaign with our Pathfinder group, and it ended up being just this clusterfuck pirate adventure. And it was like, yeah, you should check first because I don't think anybody here really digs pirates. We definitely don't want to play that way. And guys in full plate don't work well on a pirate ship. So I have no idea where this is going, but the ship's going to be over top of it. So let's just ooze that way. Tell you what, cranking that fan up definitely took the temperature down in here a few degrees, which is a good thing. We'll put a few points on there and nudge that stuff out when we're done. Doesn't have to be pretty. That's still, okay, I'm making sure it's still below water. And even though we're not putting water on, I do it this way because then I'll still be able to see the map when I come in and start populating it with our decorations. So these maps rarely have all the stuff that the description indicates. And if I don't do these tiles so they're below water, even though it'll still show up the same as if you put it on a layer, it's going to cover the room numbers, and that becomes a pain in the ass. So it's just a trick that I figured out a while ago that you can put it on that under layer. It'll still sit on top, but it also lets you see your reference on the bottom. Now, once we start going in doing random encounter maps, making our own maps, none of that's going to matter. Unless we're putting something down that we want covered with water. There's a lot of ooze in here. Lots of ooze. It is the Caverns of Ooze, but come on. Do we need that much ooze? On the plus side, they do have actual oozes in here. It's kind of a shame because my one player, the paladin, just quit because he's got time commitments now that overlap with him playing the game. But he's lost 2 sets of plate already to jellies. It's freaking hilarious. You know, if there's a gelatinous cube in a hallway, that guy is going to walk into it. And let's be honest, I am not a hand-holding DM. You know, if you're like, I'm walking down the hall and I see you just pushing your thing ahead, I'm not going to constantly say, because I get tired of saying it, do you want to roll a perception roll? Because his passive perception's never enough to pick it up. And if you're just going to rush forward to your doom, I'm going to let you. And then I'm going to chuckle about it and go, look what you did again. And then for a week or so, you're going to roll perception as you go down the hallway. And then you'll go back to your old habits. I think I'm going to break that ooze line there. And then we're probably going to come in. I'm going to put some type of pattern in between these voids just because even though nobody else is going to care, I will. So my son was talking about, he's got his black-headed Kaik and another bird. He's moved into an apartment, and you know he wanted to take his bird with him, which I don't care. It's not my bird; it's his bird, so we bought it for. But he didn't check with his apartment, and I guess he had talked to whoever the leasing agent was, and they're like, "Oh yeah, it's no problem. We allow pets. You know, once you move in, you know, you just have to sign an addendum to your lease, blah 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 blah. Pay the pet deposit, and you're good." So then he calls and finds out that the pet addendum is for dogs and cats, and they won't give one for birds. And they're like, you know, you can still bring the bird in, but if somebody complains, then you have to get rid of the bird. So he tells me that yesterday, and I'm like, yeah, you know, we had a similar situation. We moved into an apartment. We were told that, you know, when we were first married. And we had this asshole neighbor that, Kaik, had this asshole neighbor who went out of his way to try to cause problems for us. And the apartment's like, you have to get rid of the bird or we're going to kick you out. And we're like, look, we're buying a house. The lease will be up in a couple of months. Give us that time and we'll be good. And they did. And we eventually moved. But, birds are with an apartment. A lot of times they're not gonna have a pet addendum for those things. And so yeah, I'm stuck with that. That Kaik, I'll tell you, Violet, he's a bit of a jackass. He goes after my wife when she's trying to feed him. Now he tries to pull that shit with me, and I just get stern and yank him out. If he really gets on my nerves, I've got a bottle that we use to bathe him, and I'll just shoot him with water because he hates getting a bath, and then he stops that shit. But his Kaik is a total jackass. If you make the mistake of letting him get on your shoulder, I mean, he is going to stay there. He'll duck down your back. If you try to get him, he's going to bite you. And I basically live the rule that I'm not the tree and he's not the ruler of the roost. So I don't let my birds on my shoulder. Because once they start getting up where they're higher than you, it's like they think they own you. And with him, you definitely can't because he's another little terrorist. He wanted the Kaik because the bird store that we went to, they had one. I forget that bird's name. I mean, he was a cool little bird, but he was also a jackass. And you know how birds can be one person birds. He could also be really problematic. You know, you might get one day. And here's the thing. I mean, a lot of times we're like, oh, this is the bird I really want. I always wanted a military macaw. And, I've got my military. And, oh my God, is she bitchy. She is so fucking moody. It's crazy. And I'm the human that she likes. And, oh my God. She is just evil. There are times when she can be sweet and she turns on a fucking dime. I think it's that red hair. Octomic, I am using dungeondraft. And the reason I'm using it is it carries over with the walls and everything directly into the virtual tabletop that I use. I use Foundry, and it works perfectly with that. Your doors, windows, walls, everything. The only thing that you have to create in there that you can't carry over because it doesn't have it are secret doors. We had two umbrellas for years. No, Moluccans, I'm sorry. Two Moluccan cockatoos. They were both wild caught because when we got them, they were, back in the day, hand raised birds was not a thing. So, We had two of them, and the one ended up dying. We had her probably, how long? Seven, 8 years, and she died from beak and feather. Fortunately, the other one didn't get that. And then the other one, there's no way with like a wild caught like that to know how old they are. So we had her the whole time we were in Maryland, plus the apartment, the house. Then we moved down here, and I think my son was like 8 years old, maybe 10. So we had her about 20 years, and then she died. Just we were actually at SeaWorld for my son's birthday, and we get a call from the pet sitter that she came in and the bird's in the bottom of the cage dead, and she's freaking out. I'm like, look, just calm down. It's not your fault. She's an old bird. I said, put her in a plastic bag and throw her in the freezer, and I'll take care of it when I get home. I know it's horrible, but I'm pragmatic, and I deal with things when they need to be dealt with. Now, my son's upset. I'm like, look, son, there's nothing we can do. Enjoy the rest of your birthday, and we'll go home after, tomorrow, once all the stuff you had planned is done. But yeah, beak and feather, that's nasty. You watch as their beak kind of goes away. We had to have her put down. And she was actually the nicer of the two. But yeah, that's nothing you want to see with your birds. But now that they're all like, hand raised, you can't get the wild caught. Chances of that happening with your bird is like almost nil. All right, so I think that's done. I think that's the ooze. Right? Yes. All right, so we've got that laid out. Like I said, today is layout day. Now we're going to run these ridge paths. And I'm thinking, yeah, this is ridging up to there. This ridge goes up to here, up and up. And then this is a pit, so we'll have to do that. So let's do this. Let's get the ridges done first. I'm going to make sure there are no other ridges. That's what I'm looking at. Then I've got to figure out how we're going to make this ship. I don't think we have like metal walls, which is what we need. Let's take a look. Let's look at our walls. I know we have a shit ton of stone. I know we brought some metallic stuff in, but it's possible they don't have walls. Let's go all the way to the bottom. That would be whatever the newest stuff was. Come on, show me some love. These are repeat walls. Yeah. Looks like these are duplicates. And it's funny because the only way we were able to bring that acid pattern in was to bring a duplicate set, and it had the pattern, where the newer set did not have the acid pattern. So let's look at the... See, I really don't want to do this. We could color the wall so it's like metallic gray, but I don't like these walls. Let's do a quick save. It's possible there's an asset set that I didn't pull in, which I know at this point it's like I can't believe there aren't any assets we haven't pulled in. But wilderness, artificial floors, roofs, terrains. Seeing the issue is like these galleon and other ship asset packs are not going to have walls. So I guess for this we'll pick whatever wall we like the looks of, and that's going to be the ship walls. We just want to make it so it doesn't look too rocky. And they all look pretty rocky, don't they? And maybe that. Let's take a look. Are there some metallic floor tiles? We'll call that a no. What about patterns? It is a space ship. We could put space for the floor. That would look awful, wouldn't it? You know why I'm doing that? So here's acid A colorable. I think, is that what we ended up using? Was that one? That's just acid A. So we could pull acid A. We'd have to redo all that stuff we just did. But this is colorable. So they normally are, but this is... See, this is a fucked up ship. This is a spacefaring vessel that was lured here by Hallister and then trapped. So I don't think this would be a wooden ship. You know what I mean? Let's go to... Let's go down to 13. So it's a ship designed to travel through space. Hull is made of alien resin as hard as thick wood. So I think... I'm curious. Oh, we can color that shit. Look at that. Now I've got to take all that shit out that I put in. We have to redo that. We can actually color it the color that they say it is. Because it says it's brown Etruvian. I hate doing this, but you know what? If we can make it so it's the same bubbly stuff, but the right color, we're going to do it. That's all of it, right? So... I guess how brown do we want to go? I think we're going to go with that. All right, let me move this mouse, and we're going to try to power through this and get that one done. Fuck. screwed the pooch. And these, because we did the walls, these can all, this section can kind of go like that. We're going to do this. Now, I won't be able to put all of the colors and stuff in this that they're saying, but I'll be able to give them brown ooze. So we're going to lay this down and then take a look and see how it looks. We'll put the curve in there in a second. What the fuck? I set that. Now it's right. What the fuck? I figured it was just glitching and showing white there, even though we had something set. Because it does that once in a while. Alright. Last attempt. We are going to get this ooze done, if it kills me. And I think that is, I mean, that's one of the few complaints I have about this software. Like if you come in, let's say you're working on a map, something happens, you don't have time to finish building out your, walls, whatever it is you're doing. When you come back in, even though you're saving the file, it doesn't save the colors that you're using, the walls that you're using. None of that gets saved. That's why I tend on each map, on the side, to have a notepad file with the colors I'm using and notes on what I did if I don't get to finish the basic layout. Let's see how that looks. That looks better. And I learned that the hard way when I was doing some early maps. See right here? It lost that color because I just left that screen. And if I didn't check, I'd end up having to redo it. I'll be honest too. I've thought about going in, starting to just draw my maps using Clip Studio Paint, creating creating a couple of sets of files, different sizes. I'm not worried about gridless or no grid. You know, if somebody's going to complain about grids, then yeah, that's how I map it. Get over it. Because some of it, you don't have to worry about these vector dots. Natural Pengu, thank you for the raid. Nakto Mick. So we might start messing with doing that. But not until we finished all of these Mad Mage maps. Like I said, including this one, I have 5 to go. Without soup, well, damn it, where's the soup? I am doing well. How are you doing this fine day? Kapuli Kepi, how's it going? Come on. So I really like maps with this software that a lot of squares and hard corners. Because then I don't have to sit here going tap, 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 tap and work on my carpal tunnel that I don't have yet, but this is going to give me, let's face it. It'd be so nice to just be able to draw a line. But because these walls are going to transfer over, you know, everything works, it has to be a vector graphics program. It does its job. Plot twists in Starfinder. How are you enjoying Starfinder? Oh, which way do I want to go here? They don't really give me a hard line to follow in that zone because of the writing. I tell you, we were long time, you know, Pathfinder 1 players. My son was excited to try Starfinder when it came out. We played it for a little while. A couple people in our group weren't real fond of it. They complained. I really thought like the space combat was a lot of fun in that too. And crazy shit like space goblins guns blowing up. That was always hilarious. It's one of those games I'd give another shot to, but now my group doesn't want to play it. And it was one of the few games I didn't have to run as GM because somebody else wanted to play it. That made it even more awesome. All right. Let's make this turn. And then I know I missed some curves, so we're going to have to make some adjustments on these points. Only because I don't like having harsh lines. They don't look right. So let's take a look. Here's where we had a little misfire. This isn't too blatant. What else do we have here? I think overall we're in good shape on this. Most times you just have to add 1 or 2 points to give it the curve you want it to have. I should have gone all the way down. I thought this went all the way down there. If I just would have pulled the screen just a little. All right, that's good. What do we have here? Let's zoom out. We drew all of this ooze before, and we're redrawing it because I figured out that there was an asset identical to what I'm using for the ooze that actually let me change the color. I just figured that out a day late and $1 short. You know what? This can be a hidden zone, so let's make that work. It's funny because after we finished playing Starfinder, because people were complaining about it, we went on and played GURPS and ran that as a sci-fi campaign. And there were no complaints about that, even though, let's be honest, GURPS is probably one of the most deadly systems you can play as a player. You know, they were complaining because people were dying too easily in Starfinder, and then they got in GURPS and it was like, oh no, that's fine. And they were freaking dying left and right because, like I said, if you've ever played GURPS, it is a deadly system. You can't just murder hobo your way through. You got to talk. See, right there, we're missing some points. We're going to have to come in and add a couple to round that off. And that always made me chuckle. They're fine playing a system that is absolutely deadly, but oh my god, that goblin killed me. I was just like, you are a walking, talking dichotomy, aren't you? I think I need to go back in and realign. Looks like the parallax is a little bit off on this. Alright, so where was I not happy with the line? Right here. Now, if you're not familiar with concept of parallax on a graphics tablet, it's, you know, where your point is sitting versus where the dot actually shows up. So it can be a little offset. Maybe I'm wrong. It looks like it's right. Nothing I hate doing more than redoing work. But once I realized, damn it. Once I realized that we could actually get this to be the color it's supposed to be, it's like, let's do that. See, the last Mad Mage map we did in, what, like a stream and a half? That was just a lot of straight line, regular old dungeon mapping. I was talking to my son last night, and I'm like, you know, I finished the one for you that you're going to need after the map that you're on right now. Don't ask me when the next one's going to be done, because it's another one of those damned cave type maps, which means I got to put a ton of different textures in. There's no straight lines. It's going to take forever. And I swear, it's like these maps alternate level by level from, okay, this is a normal thing with a lot of square rooms, straight hallways, quick and easy, to, oh look, we have a lot of crazy shit to draw again. This could take a while. All right. I know there was something I wasn't happy with. Where is it? Right there. All right, that's good. I think this, extra spot there. Alright, that's good. Trying to see how far down this one goes. I think we're going to do this whole zone. Ah! Alright, we'll come back and fix that. The thing is, you're tapping and it just doesn't accept it once in a while. If the time comes that I pick up, I keep saying I'm going to do it, but I have something else I want to get for the computer before I go to a bigger graphics tablet. I want to move from this 15.6 to like a 22. And if I'm being honest, I don't give a damn if it's a 1080 graphics tablet or 4K. I mean, for drawing, I don't need a 4K graphics tablet. Just something 1080 that has decent sensitivity. Will do. This is a little bit weird here. I think I'm going to have to break this into two parts. Otherwise, it's going to fill that in with ooze, and we don't want that. So we're going to leave this little hook zone down here. We'll fix that little bump too in a minute. Come on, we can get this done. All right. Let's check our edit points. Tell you what, there's one point. Doesn't want to let me add a point. All right, let's go down here, get this little area. No, 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 no. You're doing it again. This pen acts like my kid sometimes. Tell it what to do. Tap that point. Say, make that point there. No, I'm not listening. Might need to bump the sensitivity up a little bit. That's the point that didn't want to listen. All right, we're good. I think that's the end of the ooze. Actually, I think this is a little self-contained puddle. I'm about to be excited if we're done with this ooze. Let's zoom out and see. Ooze is done. Yeehaw. So we're going to have to figure the ship out, and then we got to figure out the other ship area down there. Let me take a look at the time. 10 minutes until dog pill. So let's get these ridge lines in. We're done with that, so we can set our path. This is going to be the problem, finding the ridge line that I always use. Is that it? There's a better elevated ridge line. That I prefer. I just have to find it. It's going to be tricky because we loaded a lot of shit in. Looking for that ooze. That's it. I like that one. It indicates that it can be climbed. So let's take that down to, let's see what this does. It looks about right. All right, so we're going to start here. Think this will work. You got to watch because each direction, and we need the high point to be down here because it rises up. And you have to remember which way. Oh, fuck. Look at that. Screwed up over here. Let's try this again. We're going to go here. See, it's still screwed up. tell you what, this whole pandemic is messing with my binge watching thing. We're starting to run out of shit to binge watch. I know it's hard to believe, but I can only binge watch some stuff. We finished off. We watched that Shadow and Bone show. And we've gone through so much stuff. Now we're on some show called Kim's Convenience. It's like a Canadian show. Or not like a Canadian show. It's a Canadian show. And I didn't think, I watched first 2 episodes. And I was like, it's okay. And then last night, the wife was like laughing. She couldn't freaking breathe when the dad who owns the convenience store. Oh, I gotta redo this again. He was selling dead dated ravioli. And he ate that, and then he thinks he's gotten food poison from it because it was dead dated. The daughter's like, no, you can't sell that. You're gonna make people sick and all this kind of shit. And so he ends up getting the trots and being sick as hell. And then all of a sudden, she starts having issues, and they realized it was something their mom cooked and took to fucking church. Well, after they both think they're okay, the dad's doing exercise, and he's doing deep squats, and you just hear this. He's standing by the mother, and you just hear that, and my wife just starts cracking up. She thought it was the funniest thing in the world that he had just shit himself. And it was pretty funny, but she's like, I can't breathe. What is this? It's lava. It's not what I'm looking for. Let's do that. But yeah, that show it's pretty funny. I just can't believe how many programs I burned through over this last year. Year and a half. There we go. Perfect. So is that all of our actual, just layout that needs to be done? Let's pull this down, take a look at it first. All right. So, no, the layout's not actually done. We need to work on the stuff inside of here. I think I'm going to do something as far as creating an actual ridge up here. Oh, we didn't do those. That's good. You know what? It's not good. So we don't need a fade here. Oh my God, that's loud. Dog pill. So we need to do something up here to flatten that out. And I think what we are going to do is cave floor that. Just because. And then inside these void areas, let's see if we have a stone. That's metal. Ooh, we could use the metal texture for the ship. Let's take a look at how this looks. Actually, take a look at this. We could... I kind of like that. We're going to do that for the ridge line. And then we'll figure something out for inside these zones. I think we're going to figure out the inside of the... And they're not really columns. It's just part of the stone, the mountain that's this whole thing's cut out of. But we'll figure something out for that to fill those voids in. So let's see what that looks like. Oh yeah, that works. See, that basically just adds a texture over top of that. But it differentiates it, makes it look good. All right, let's save. I think Dad's going to eat some lunch. Let's pull it down again. Yeah, I think that works nicely. All right, we're good. So tomorrow we'll finish the layout by closing in the void so that it doesn't have that grid pattern in there. We're going to think about the ship this afternoon, and by tomorrow we'll decide how we want to do that. But it'll have to be some combination of walls and texture to make it look right. And I think we're going to need two textures in there. We're going to need, one for the outside hull, like around here. And then we'll need something here for the actual deck. So, and then we'll figure out what we're going to use as our wall so that the party can't just get in there. And then for the other part of the ship down here, this whole section will just be the texture like on the deck up above. And then we'll copy the textures over here that we use for the front, fins, and tail. It's going to be interesting, to say the least. I mean, we did something similar when we had to build a building that looked like a spider on one of these levels. But we'll figure it out. We may even end up... I tell you what, let's take a look at something here real quick. So, what's the thinnest wall that I have? I'm going to compare that to this. So that's relatively thin. Is it the thinnest, though? Cobble, bogus concrete. What about stone? All right, so we could do wood. Set the color that way. Let's see what it looks like. See, that would just give us an outline for the ship. We'll turn the shadow off. I think we're going to do that for the wall. It's going to be a black line. That's all it's going to be. Now, how's that going to look if we do this back here? I don't even care about that. I don't know why I started back there. I want to see how that point's going to look. So we'll be able to soften the lines, give it a little more curve after it's drawn. There's no way to give it, you know, a big point. It's going to do that no matter what. But we can at least get this so it's kind of curved. Soften it up a little bit by adding points. And I think that is going to be our answer to the outline of this ship. You know, and then we'll just add points until everything's nice and curved and rounded. And we'll put something inside here to color it. I think that's what we're going to have to do. Just delete it. All right. It would be nice if, and it's a shame we can't change the width of the walls. I mean, maybe we'll experiment tomorrow and see what is the actual thinnest wall. I mean, is there an option in the path tool? So we can't color that. That would be thin. That's just a shadow. Oh, that's very thin. But it's not going to create a wall. We'll see. We'll figure something out tomorrow. We will be able to figure this out. Like I said, we figured out that damned spider building. We'll figure this one out. But anyway, thanks everybody for watching. Be on tomorrow. I think tomorrow we're going to work on this, see if we can't finish this map off altogether. Friday we'll either map or, depending on what I feel like doing in the morning, we may shoot some stuff in Outriders, or might get on and play some WoW because we haven't done that offline or in stream this week. It just depends on what we feel like doing. And Tiny, we'll let you know if we get on and play WoW, whether it's here or offline, because I still have to determine which freaking character I'm going to level all the way, and I've got to get my wife to get on, because she needs to level a hunter. She chose a rogue, and she's having real trouble with it. So she's got to learn to tab target, shoot things with that hunter, and go that way. But that'll be it for the day. Everybody have an awesome Wednesday, and we will see you tomorrow.